What up, Laker Nation? It's your boy DTLF back with another video, guys. As today, of course, guess who we play? The San Diego Slippers, man. So, Summer League play 2 games left at least. Well, actually, let's see. We played, okay, yeah, potentially 2 or 3 games left, depending on the seeding. In order for the Lakers to advance, they have to win out because we already lost the game. So, the way Summer League works this year is a little different. The top 2 records are going to play for the championship team. It's that simple. There's not going to be any elimination games and yada yada. They're trying to cut it down short and make it more simplistic for the fans, just to basically, you play 4 games and the best record advances to the championship game on each side of the conference or whatever. So, and then whoever doesn't advance to the championship game, they'll play a 5th game just to play it out. But it's going to be interesting because again, we play the Slippers today. Lakers already lost one versus the Knicks. That was a pretty bad game, guys. I'll tell you, the Lakers didn't really they were never really in sync offensively at all. Our backcourt star players were off. Austin Reeves and Mac McClung, they shot horrible from the field, especially Austin Reeves. I think he was held to, like, I'm not sure if he was held to a bagel. I'd have to double check the stats. But man, I'm not surprised because, like I said, the Knicks actually had 2 key rotation pieces. Emmanuel Quickly, who killed them, and let's not forget about their lottery pick, the power forward. I forgot his name, but Obi Topping. There you go, Obi Topping. So we got killed by 2 guys that are actually going to be in the rotation for the Knicks this year. So I didn't feel too bad. And really, our defense kept us in that game. There were some players that really impressed me in that game. Who impressed you guys? One player that truly impressed me was Trevlin Queen, man. I like the way that kid continues to play. I even mentioned on Twitter how he reminds me of a young Trevor Ariza. Now, obviously, Trevlin Queen, he's 24. He's not too young, but the product out of New Mexico State has been playing excellent defense, and he actually showed off the jumper in the last game. So that was impressive. He played a little bit better. Finally, his first game out of like the first 4 games that he played good. So let's see how who else steps up today. Again, it's just we were mismatched. Obviously, if we would have had Taylor Horton Tucker, we would have had a puncher's chance in that Knicks game. But the Knicks play excellent defense. You got to give him credit. Even though Tom Thibodeau wasn't really coaching that game, he was still there courtside, and you could feel his presence because the players were playing hard, suffocating defense. Our shooters couldn't even get shots off. Another player that I thought was pretty impressive, he was playing really hard, was Sean D. Brown Jr. Now, Sean D. Brown Jr. got signed to a contract, 10-day, looks like a 10-day deal, along with Mac McClung, to training camp. So they have shots to at least impress a little bit more there. Maybe they'll get in a preseason game or 2. But all in all, Shandy, the only thing I have a problem with Shandy Brown Jr. is that he's explosive. I love that. He can actually knock down threes, and he's a slasher, right? He gets to the rim at will. I don't like his tunnel vision. Sometimes you will see he forces the issue and turns the ball over. What's up, Nazir? What's up, bro? He said McClung is going to go off. I hope so, LeVar. I hope so, bro, because the last game was not that impressive offensively from both of those players. They were breaking everything. But again, you have to give credit to the Knicks. They did their thing. Now, tonight versus the Clippers, this should be a victory. Okay, they really don't have nobody that stands out like that to me in the roster. Like that, like per se, that I would say, oh, yeah, watch out for this guy or whatever. But, I think if the Lakers, I realize that this Summer League team's bench is probably stronger than the starting lineup. And even though my favorite player on the Summer League roster so far has been Austin Reeves, but the bench, when they come in, when they bring in like Queen and they bring in, Yoeli, and they bring in a couple of these hustle guys, is much better. By the way, I'm not happy with the way that Devontae Kaycock has been playing at all. I feel like he's forcing the issue. I feel like he's playing desperate, but not like a good desperate, not like a hungry desperate. He's playing like a out of control, desperate. And I don't like that because it's messing up. He's turning the ball over. He's playing like a bull in the china shop, just drawing a bunch of, not drawing, but actually committing a bunch of charges, running people over. And, his jumper isn't really there. He hit a 3 or 2, but it was like, I think it was luck. The form doesn't look that great. He looks stiff. I'm not a fan at all. Now, the only thing I like about him is his high motor, but he needs to piece that together if he wants to shot at the league with high basketball IQ, because right now the IQ is not there. He kept forcing the issue, and I feel like he was a major reason why it cost us the game the last time we played. But back to tonight's game. Who do I want to see step up today? I'd love to see another impressive game by Traveling Queen. If he continues to play well, I wouldn't be shocked if he makes it to the training camp roster. Because I really like the way again it reminds me of a young Trevor Ariza when we first got him from the Orlando Magic and he was raw. That's what he reminds me of because his hustle, his athleticism, and he's able to slash and knock down threes. Yes, I like a player like that. He said young Ariza was a human highlight type player. That's what I'm saying. That's my comparison. Shandy is a ball hog. You know what, Lakers squad? Yeah, that's the one thing he needs to work on because we know what he can do. Like, Shandy Brown Jr. is explosive. I mean, did you see what happened to his shoe? He just basically blew out of this thing, man. He blew it up. By the way, do not get the Zion Williamson shoe. That thing does not look good. Zion blew out of his own shoe, and it looks like Shandy was wearing the same pair. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. What's up, Serious Alex? What's up, brother? He said, Dan, Westbrook scares the heck out of me. Why? Explain that quote to me. Why does he scare the heck out of you? I imagine if you're not a Laker fan, he'd scare the heck out of you. But as a Laker fan, you got to feel good about bringing a dog. After having such a lazy player like Dennis Schroeder last year, who, by the way, cost himself his own bag with his bad attitude, his poor decision-making on and off the court, and, his lackadaisical play, we got the complete opposite. So this is why I predicted Russell Westbrook. I said, if I was Rob Pelinka, I'd go out and get Russell. I said that as soon as we lost the playoffs, because that's exactly the type of infusion and energy we needed. And I'm so glad we got Dwight back, man. Round of applause to the front office for listening. Everybody missed Dwight last year. Absolutely, we did. And what do? We go out here and we pry him away from the Sixers and we bring him back. That's a hard thing to do because usually, even though he was on a one-year deal and he's a free agent now, usually they stay in one place. They don't like to move around back and forth. But Rob must have really gave him a good pitch and said, hey, listen, Dwight, come back and do something special. Philly's not going anywhere. Ben Simmons can't shoot. So I don't know what the pitch was, but it worked, and we got D12 back. I said the coach's rotations disappoints me. Are we talking about Summer League or are we talking about the actual NBA season? Because I agree with both, to be honest with you. Frank Vogel's rotations, I really can't see how he would mess it up. I have no problem with anybody on this roster starting. Maybe Carmelo Anthony, instead of either Wayne Ellington or Malik Monk would kind of shock me a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised with any sort of rotation and starting lineup. I think we're deep enough that I'd be okay with almost anything. The one player I don't want starting is Marc Gasol. I'd be really disappointed if Marc starts over Dwight Howard or any other formidable big we have, because again, to me, he's not starting caliber big at this point of his career. Westbrook will be a beast for us. I hope so. We got this, bro. Don't even worry about it. Ranking. That's right, brother. That's what I'm here for. He said, if LeBron wins another ring this year, getting Melo and Westbrook a ring, that would be special. Every ring that LeBron wins in LA, with all the pressure, with all the media hate, with all the pressure, that limelight that there is here in the city, it takes special players to lead to championships here. That's why I'm so thankful for LeBron James. And I really, truly appreciate him for being the first superstar to come here post-Kobe retirement, right? Because it's a lot of pressure. There was even players like DeMar DeRozan that when they had a chance to even get come here, they said they didn't want to live in Kobe's shadow. And I think Kobe said it best. If a player doesn't, if he's not Laker material, you shouldn't have to beg him to come here. He should want to come here. And that's exactly what has happened with our current stars. All three of our current superstars, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Westbrook, all wanted to be here. They all have the right mindset to kill, and that's why they brought him here. So I'm very happy with my trio and the role players around them too. People forget, Carmelo Anthony's also a Hall of Famer. Dwight Howard is also a Hall of Famer. So we have 5 Hall of Famers on this team. That's going to go a long way in the playoffs. That experience, the ability to make big defensive plays, offensive plays, just like Rondo. Rondo, to me, is a Hall of Famer. He made huge plays for us in the playoffs when people were counting him out. So here's what I say about this season, guys. Let's be patient from the beginning. Maybe at first we'll get off to a rocky start. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll get hot off the gate and then eventually hit some sort of a stumbling block. But let's give our stars time to mesh and basically to build that chemistry, because I think come playoff time, that's when you're really going to see everything come to fruition. I know us Laker fans are very impatient, just like they were with Rondo. They were clamoring for trades. Remember when I opened up the phone lines, last year? Everybody wanted Rondo out, and I kept saying, no, playoff Rondo will show up. He's a real thing. And so I'll tell you guys the same thing this year. Be patient with all the veterans, even if they get off, even if certain players get off the rocky starts. Let's just say Wayne Ellington comes here and he starts shooting poorly, but he's still playing good defense and the effort is still there. He'll eventually pick it up. So let's be very patient with especially our vets and our young players as well, because there's a Malik Monk's only 23. Obviously, Taylor Horton Tucker, 21, going to be 22, or he already turned 22. I'm not sure. But very young, very wet between the ears. Those guys are going to have to learn on the fly. So we have to be patient, man. We have to be patient, but excited at the same time and just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. I'm here to guide you guys through the whole journey. It's going to be a blast, man. Hey, what's up, Michael? What's up, brother? He said, you see us in the number 1 seed heading into the playoffs after the dust settles? I do. I see us in the number 1. I see us as the number 1 team in the NBA. Even I see us having a better record than the Brooklyn Nets. Why? Because the East got tougher. Believe it or not, the Heat became formidable. Again, they had an off season, but they dealt again with a lot of injuries. If they come back healthy, they're going to be a problem in the East. You got a bunch of rising teams like the Hawks out there in the East. Obviously, Milwaukee just won a championship. So I feel as stacked as the West is every year, I feel like the East is starting to catch up. And it's going to be really hard for Brooklyn. And I expect there to be more turmoil between their big three because, again, all three of them have weird personalities, and I just don't see I don't see a magic carpet ride all the way to the finals. I just don't. I think eventually fingers are going to start pointing. You saw Kevin Durant's attitude in the Olympic games, right? The way he was treating Bam Adebayo. I'm like, what type of freaking leadership is that from the Snake? So I'm not a fan of those guys because of that. I like their ISO games and all that. It's all smooth and sexy and all that. But at the same time, like, it has to work in the locker room as well. We saw the difference between when we had Dwight and JaVale and when we had Dennis Schroeder in the locker room. What a difference 1 year made. The chemistry was off. You wouldn't see them celebrating, dancing like they were the previous year. So I'm happy we got Dwight back for that reason as well. And a lot of people would also be excited with bringing Jared Dudley back for those same reasons. By the way, we've been talking a lot about free agency and potential pieces to add to this roster, man. There's still a couple of very formidable free agents. I'm going to go down the list a little bit here for you guys. So obviously the list, I'm going to mention some names that I don't agree with. I'm not a fan of these guys, not because they don't play hard or have skills, but I'm just not a fan of this guy. His name's Josh Hart. You guys know about him. Talk smack about in and out. I don't want him. Restricted free agent. If the Lakers got him, I mean, I wouldn't be mad simply because, he's a very good defender and he could hit open shots here and there, even though he's streaky. But at the same time, I just don't want any dirtbags like him on the team. Lauri Markkanen, somebody's going to get him. He's restricted. I doubt the Lakers, we're not going to offer him the veterans minimum because he's going to get paid eventually. I think he'll at least get the mid-level exception somewhere. Paul Millsap is realistic. That's an option. You got DeMarcus Cousins. James Ennis is the one that popped up recently. So what does Laker Nation think of James Ennis? James Ennis had a career year, actually, last season. James Ennis actually scored a whole 8.4 points per game, shooting 47% from the field and a career high 43% from beyond the arc. That's why the Lakers are looking at him, because these are players that are starting to hit their peak. Like, for example, Carmelo Anthony shot a career high 42% from beyond the arc. Can he repeat that under the Lakers, under the brightest lights? God knows, but we're going to be patient with these guys. What do I think about JJ Redick? I don't have a problem with adding anybody at this point because whoever we add is not going to be a main piece to the rotation. These are players that are going to come in and get the garbage minutes, or if in case of an injury or foul trouble, that's when you'll see them. So there's people overreacting. I said I'd be cool with Isaiah Thomas. People are saying, no, let's not sign him for a pity deal, blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. It's that the man actually scored 81 points. I don't care what game it was. It was still 81 points. If he's showing that type of determination and heart, maybe he could give us something as a third stringer, no strings attached, right? If he doesn't play good, you just bury him at the end of the bench, or you could even cut him. It could be a non-guaranteed deal. But let's not overreact to whatever roster spot we give to players, because I feel like the team is already good. Now, people have mentioned, okay, we should get a wing. I see Paul Millsap. He said, what's your prediction? Who will fill the final 3 roster spots for the Lakers? I have no clue. Again, Rob Pelinka has been absolutely close to the vest. He already, according to multiple reports, he looked at Isaiah Thomas. He looked at James Ennis. So I think he's weighing his options. I wouldn't be shocked if he leaves 1 or 2 open roster spots. And then let's not forget about Jared Dudley, who's also an option there, right? So we have options. I don't know what is he looking at young talent? Remember, Matt McClung and Shandy Brown got invited to training camp. So is he looking at them with those potential roster spots, or is he going more for, for guaranteed results in a veteran or maybe a locker room presence? I mean, I have no clue how he's thinking right now, but I'm open to it. I'm already very happy. I gave him an A+ for the offseason already. If we even, I doubt we'll go in with the 3 open roster spots, but even then I wouldn't be mad, because remember, the buyout market is going to be crazy again this year. My man said Jello would fit. I actually wouldn't mind Jello. Jello's been sniping and playing solid defense. So the other night, I think he had 8 points in 11 minutes. I don't know why that team's only giving him 11 minutes. Maybe to keep him hungry, keep him focused. I don't know. I don't know what the logic behind coaches giving good young pieces limited minutes, right? But it is what it is. Look, let's see how he continues to perform. I'm very excited for him. I think he has carved his path to the NBA. If it ain't on that team, somebody else might come calling. Who do you want us to sign? Again, I'm open to it, but I wouldn't mind James Ennis. When that got mentioned, I was like, oh, okay, he's 6'7", athletic. Well, he used to be athletic. He's a little bit older now. He's a veteran. But he shot a career high from Beyond the Arc this year. I also I wouldn't mind DeMarcus, even though I didn't like how dirty he was last year. Svi Mikhailuk, ex-Laker would be solid. Some of you guys have mentioned him on Twitter. I wouldn't mind him either. And some people even said, I don't want to butcher his name, Isaiah Hartenstein, the 7-footer. He's pretty decent as well. So whatever the Lakers add to this team, I don't expect it to be a missing piece, but only like an extra, right? Like an extra, just in case, kind of like for security reasons, like for extra, just in case of an emergency type purposes. Dan, how do you feel about the Nets hiring Kyle Korver? I mean, good for him. Good for him. Transitioning into a different type of role on a team is good. Good for him. I really don't care about anything the Nets do. I'm focused on the Lakers. And Blake Griffin threw some shade at the Lakers, talking about it looks good on paper. It's like, bruh, you got one of the most stacked teams in NBA history. I know you're not talking about paper because y'all didn't even make it to the finals. That was a disappointment, no matter how you want to slice it up. I get it, injuries and all that, but we went through injuries too. So don't talk about our team. Focus on your team. How about that? He said, Dan, if the Lakers bring Millsap, where should they put him in the rotation? I mean, depends, man. Here's the thing. Coach has to kind of gauge who's playing good with what combinations. So let's just say Millsap is playing good at the 5 and Marc Gasol's not playing good as a backup 5. He could play some small ball 5 alongside Carmelo at the 4. And at the 3, you could have THT. At the 2 off the bench, you could have I know I'm probably going to miss somebody, but you could have either Malik Monk, and at the 1, backup 1, Kendrick Nunn. I mean, there's so many different rotations you can plug in, but it depends again what the personnel is. Some people say Harry Giles. Harry Giles is nice, but he's unproven. So again, I'm not sure if that's even something they're looking at. He said, I love Svi if he comes back. He was a sniper for us, and he also played very good defense. Let's not forget, he absolutely destroyed it in Summer League, was looking like a star in the making. And then a weird trade by Magic Johnson for Muscala. That was one of the trades that pissed me off. I didn't really like Mike Muscala like that. So, hey, Dan, Lance Stephenson's trying to make a comeback to the NBA. He held a private workouts for a couple of teams. Yeah, I read about that. He said that are interested. Wouldn't mind bringing him back. Yeah, likewise, man. He's a spark plug type player. He's somebody you could plug in. He can give you some points here and there. He's a little loose in the screws, but, he plays hard and he's fun to watch, so I don't mind. He said, oh, yeah, never mind. It was for Reggie Bullock. Okay. That kind of made a little bit more sense. I forgot Muscala was for Zubats, which made even less sense, but it's in the past. So I'll let it go before everybody starts bringing it up. Dan, I choose these 3 players: Matthews, James Ennis, and Biyombo. Is Biyombo a free agent? Because he's not bad at all. He's a little sloppy on the offensive end, but defensively, he's somewhat of a force. At least he used to be when he was on Toronto. I wouldn't mind him. I mean, the more big bodies, the better. Especially if Marc Gasol doesn't play up to par. Remember, he is going to be a year older and, half step slower. So, I mean, I still think he could give us some value off the bench with his veteran leadership. But again, we'll see. He said, hi, Dan, what Lakers should focus on, wing players or backup center? Honestly, I like our team as is right now. I already mentioned the other day the rotation how I would have it right now, and moving forward. But whoever they add, I think again has to be somebody who buys into a limited role and is just ready, always ready for their number to be called. If it gets called, they got to come in and perform right away. There's not gonna be no time for no BS, no egos. I mean, anybody who's still a free agent at this point has to be really humble. Okay, really, really humble. Dan, can we get James Ennis, Paul Millsap, and a big man like Larry Markkinen? Larry Markkinen is off question because I feel like he's at least worth somebody's mid-level exception. I doubt he goes for a veterans minimum, and if he signs a veterans minimum somewhere, I think the Bulls would just match it since he is restricted. But Hartstein is solid. I prefer DeMarcus Cousins. He's more proven to me. Even though I like Hartstein because he's a legit 7-footer. James Ennis also solid. I wouldn't mind any combination, but again, remember, I expect Rob to leave at least one open roster spot going into the season, just in case we need to make an adjustment at some point. He said, Dan, what's your starting lineup? My starting lineup is point guard Russell Westbrook, shooting guard Malik Monk, small forward LeBron James, power forward AD, and center Dwight Howard. And to close the fourth quarters, and you can slide up Anthony Davis to the center, and maybe put in somebody with more experience like Carmelo to close out the fourth quarter or something like that. You just never know. But he can tinker with the rosters, and I'm cool with it. If it ends up being Wayne Ellington, I'm okay with that. Then we can use Malik Monk as a primary offensive threat off the bench along with Carmelo. I mean, there's just so many different combinations he could play. It might be something we don't even expect. I could be mentioning these starting lineups, but it could be something else, man. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, though. Training camp, preseason. I got you guys covered for all that. Let's see what coach decides to do. Anyways, we got about 5 minutes. I'll take a couple last questions before we head over to watch the game. I may or may not do post game. Again, this is just summer league, so it's not as important. But I may or may not do post game, depending on how good the game is. The last game kind of got me frustrated. The Lakers offensively never got it going. Said, my Lakers have a nice collection of experience and youth. They will be awesome and focused on ring number 18. He said, Laker fan before logo was logo. Dang. Okay. I like that. Loyalty, baby. Been there for a while. That's what's up. He said, I'm surprised on Wes Matthews not having a spot. I am a little surprised too, because I thought he was really good, especially down the stretch of the season. I thought Wesley Matthews showed his experience. His defense was on point. My man even hit a putback shot to force overtime. So he showed that he could be valuable. It's just, I'm not sure. Maybe they don't see a role for him. Maybe they already promised. Maybe he wants a bigger role and they promised his spot to somebody else who's currently on the roster. Could be a multitude of things. So you just have to be open-minded. He said, I certainly believe that the Lakers this year will be the ultimate age is just a number story of the NBA. Guys, the average age for the Nets is, and shout out to my homegirl Lakers Surge. She put me on game about this, right? The average age for the Nets is higher than the Lakers, I think by a year. So it wasn't a problem. I don't remember nobody talking about age when the Nets formed. It's just the Laker hate is real. And it continues. They continue to move the goalposts and the narrative continues to flip and switch, right? When we first landed Russell Westbrook, oh, this is a terrible fit. Oh, they don't have any shooters. Guys, we had 3 or 4 people on the roster. And they were already doubting us and dogging us for making that trade. And then I told you guys, don't worry about it. I'm sure they're going to get some shooters. I'm sure they're going to get solid role players. Predicted most of the role players. And then, boom, we get exactly what I thought we would. And now the new narrative, oh, the Lakers are really old. And they got the shooters now, but they're like 50. And it's like, bruh, shut the heck up and just watch and observe and be humble. Sit down, in the words of Kendrick. Like, chill out. Always got to come with some sort of negative remarks, right? So he said, Dan, what's your Twitter? It's right here, bro, right below, right here next to the Instagram. See the Twitter right there, at Dan the Lakers fan. He said, prefer none to play off the bench. I think none is coming off the bench. He could play the 2 technically, but we're going to need some sparks off the bench. And I like what Malik Monk said in his interview. He mentioned how, they know that they got Hall of Famers on the team and superstars, so he feels really confident. But they brought him here to play his role and to be aggressive and play his game. So he said the youngins are going to help the older players. He mentioned himself, Kendrick Nunn, and Taylor Horton Tucker. So I think that's what the game plan is. I think Malik Monk may or may not start or come off the bench, doesn't matter, but they're going to get heavy minutes, especially when we're resting our big. I think our starters will get off to quick starts and then they'll get early rests, and our bench will try to either keep our lead or extend our lead because we're that deep. And it could happen. I see plenty of nights when we'll win games at the half, already be up by a 15 or 20, and then we'll get heavy minutes to the younger players in the second half. That's why we brought these guys. And I think guys like, Malik Monk and even Carmelo might get some heavy minutes down the stretch of games because he's going to want the run, right? Hall of Famer, of course. So it'll be interesting, guys. We got a lot to cover this training camp, but 2 minutes before the game, got to go find a stream to watch it on. Says I think it's going to be on NBA TV. It might be on Spectrum Sportsnet as well. But I don't think they're airing this one on ESPN 1 or 2. However, tomorrow we face the Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham. That one should be nationally televised. So I'll see you guys there for this one. And again, not sure if I'll do post-game, but I appreciate you guys just in case I don't. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it, man. Much love, Laker Nation. Make sure to please smash the like button. If you already haven't, please consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys right here potentially later on tonight or tomorrow. So have a good one, guys. Enjoy the game.